Modern survival is built on the assumption of visibility. Between cellular towers, satellite telemetry, and GPS grids, the infrastructure of the 21st century has largely eliminated the concept of a true wilderness blind spot. However, a 200,000-acre region in New Mexico, known as the Pecos Triangle, sits outside this safety net, squeezed between the Carson and Santa Fe national forests. For decades, searchers have recovered abandoned camps and vehicles here, finding survival gear left behind but no physical trails. While standard wilderness accidents typically leave a debris field of gear or tracks, the disappearances here are marked by an absolute lack of recovery. Despite intensive aerial and ground searches, a significant number of those who vanish here are never seen again. The existence of the Pecos Triangle suggests that our technological grip on the environment is localized. Even with global positioning systems, specific geographic pockets maintain the capacity to erase a human presence. On New Year's Eve in 2000, a nurse named Carmen Gonzalez checked into a Santa Fe motel after renting a van for the holiday. When she failed to check out, staff found her clothing and toiletries still in the room, with no sign of a struggle or planned departure. Nearly a month later, a skier discovered her missing rental van at the bottom of a remote canyon in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The vehicle was miles away from her last known location, resting in a landscape she had no reported intention of visiting. The van was found under a layer of snow, with no tracks leading away from the site. While the weather likely obscured any immediate evidence, the interior of the vehicle provided no further clues. Police forced entry only to find it completely empty of Gonzalez or her personal effects. Tracker dogs brought to the canyon floor circled the vehicle but failed to pick up a scent trail. Instead of tracking, the animals reportedly became confused, sniffing at the air before refusing to move further into the canyon. To this day, no trace of Carmen Gonzalez has been found. The investigation left searchers with a vehicle in an unintended location, empty of the driver herself, and a scent trail that vanished. The high-altitude terrain of northern New Mexico provides a harsh, baseline explanation for many losses. Sudden squalls and freezing temperatures can quickly disorient anyone caught away from an established trail. This was the case for 75-year-old Audrey Kaplan, who wandered away from her campsite to gather mushrooms and was immediately caught in a dense fog bank. Her body was later found partially submerged in the Pecos River, a victim of the landscape's rapid environmental shifts. However, other cases present physical evidence that environmental distress cannot fully account for. In 1998, 71-year-old Emma Tresp's Honda Civic was found abandoned on a remote Forest Service road after it became stuck on a rocky patch of trail. Investigators found Tresp's footprints preserved in the wet mud surrounding the car. The tracks showed she had exited the driver's side and walked exactly once around the vehicle, apparently inspecting the damage. These footprints showed no sign that she returned to the car for supplies, nor did they lead away into the forest toward safety. The tracks simply stopped at the edge of the vehicle. Natural elements like wind and rain can explain a hiker's death, but they cannot explain why a driver would leave a vehicle and leave no tracks beyond a single circle in the mud. The density of the Pecos wilderness has led to theories of human interference. Some suggest that organized criminal groups use the isolation of the national forests to hide illegal activity from law enforcement. The 2017 case of Stanley Vigil is often cited in support of this. Vigil, an experienced hunter, suddenly left his group to chase an animal and was later heard firing shots that seemed to move further and further away into the deep woods. Vigil was eventually captured on a trail camera, appearing distressed and without his rifle. Later that night, he reportedly pounded on the door of a mobile home in a state of panic, shouting that someone was chasing him before he disappeared back into the darkness. When his body was recovered 6 months later, an autopsy revealed blunt force trauma to his head and ribs. However, the theory of a criminal motive remains unsupported by the broader pattern of the triangle. In nearly all of these disappearances, victims' vehicles, wallets, and expensive outdoor equipment are found untouched. A criminal enterprise typically operates for profit or to protect territory, yet the valuables in the Pecos Triangle are consistently left exactly where they were dropped. While the fear expressed by victims like Vigil suggests an active threat, the lack of robbery or a persistent human footprint leaves the theory of foul play without a clear motive. A third category of cases involves evidence that contradicts standard tracking and navigation logic. occurring even when the individual is highly prepared. Melvin Nadal was a fit 61-year-old black belt who had previously experienced being lost and had resolved to never hunt alone or without technology. In 2009, he set out with a hunting rifle, a tactical bow, and a GPS tracking system. Nadal walked 50 yards down a trail within sight of his group when his footprints in the soft earth stopped. Search dogs reached this exact point and refused to continue, circling the area in a state of agitation before retreating. No piece of his equipment was ever found. This diagram illustrates a potential geological factor: underground iron ore deposits that generate electromagnetic fields. These can interfere with a compass needle or scramble the signal of a GPS satellite. Researchers have recorded unusually high electromagnetic readings throughout the Pecos region. Some believe these subterranean mineral deposits could generate energy fields that cause severe biological disorientation or the total failure of electronic navigation tools. When both nature and crime fail to explain the lack of physical tracks, the evidence points toward a region with unique geological conditions that actively neutralize human efforts to track and be tracked. The vanishings in the Pecos Triangle suggest a set of circumstances that ignore our standard expectations of survival and search logic. This reputation stretches back centuries. Local accounts of shadow figures and strange encounters align with indigenous history and folklore regarding the Holy Ghost Campground, a site with a long-standing association with unexplained deaths. Despite the advancement of modern search and rescue operations, the results in this region remain the same. Helicopters and thermal imaging systems frequently return from the Pecos Triangle without a single lead. The area serves as a reminder that the map is not as comprehensive as we assume. Even with satellite coverage, there are landscapes that remain effectively inaccessible. The ultimate mystery of the Pecos Triangle is the persistence of this gap in our reach. It proves that even in an era of constant monitoring, the wilderness retains the capacity to render a human presence entirely invisible.